Good afternoon and evening, and welcome to the Board of Education regular meeting. It is May 8th, 2024. Are we in compliance with open meeting law notification?
Yes, we are.
Could you call the roll, please?
Szilagyi. Wright.
Here.
Wyman.
Here.
Carlin.
Here.
DeWitt. Here. Herzog.
Here.
Hess.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Very good. Now I would like to invite our students from Washington School to come over to the side of the room and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and I invite the rest of you to stand.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you could just stay there for just a second.
Good job, guys.
That was a very good job.
So cute.
And Elijah. Thaddeus. Joey.
Today is
And
May.
Mercedes. Thank you very much for taking time to come to be with us this evening. And have a great rest of the year at Washington School. Thank you. And now I'd like to invite Kat Noble to the front of the room to tell us the great things that are happening at Washington.
Well, thank you for having me tonight. I would like to begin by acknowledging the brilliant staff that we have at Washington Elementary. They truly exemplify the importance of building strong relationships as well as being data-driven to ensure that growth is being made within our building. These amazing staff members truly create a sense of belonging for not only one another, but also the students that are in our space. This really allows us to engage in our tasks and collectively work towards achieving goals. I feel very fortunate to be able to celebrate with you tonight all of the successes and hard work that are taking place at Washington. To begin, we've really found opportunities to create engagement around literacy for both staff and students. And so we began the school year with our Be the Change books, and we started with reading one every single month. This Be the Change theme has really instilled in our students the importance of advocating for their needs and for what they believe in, not only for themselves, but also for those around them. These books connected with our most recent family engagement night that we just had. Our Be the Change books were different stations around our building where our staff and students and families were able to engage in different literacy activities that tie directly to the books that they've been reading at school, and also had the opportunity to take home and read with their families. Families also began that family evening with starting in their children's classrooms, where they had the opportunity to participate in an interactive read aloud with their child's classroom teacher. This opportunity allowed our families to really get modeled for them the high leverage strategies that take place in the classroom, and so how they could really incorporate those same level strategies at home to work in collaboration with us at school to help their child reach the goals that have been set for them. On May 29th, we also are going to be having an author, Baptiste Paul, visiting our building. He's going to be delivering presentations to our K-2 students as well as our 3-5 students. Baptiste has a passion for diversity and inclusion, and we're really looking forward to having his perspective in our building, as we did include some of his books in our family engagement night as well. Another opportunity that we had at Washington was our Read Across Oshkosh event. This took place during the month of March. We had families, community members, district leaders, as well as government representatives read to different classrooms. Students were able to engage in a variety of books, as well as have the opportunity to surround themselves with just different perspectives in their classroom. These engagement opportunities, in addition to the staff's dedication to being data-driven and purposefully planned, have really contributed to the growth in many areas. So at this time, I want to celebrate a few specific grades, the first being our kindergarten classrooms. At the start of the school year, they demonstrated that 52% of students were proficient in identifying their letters, and during mid-year, that had grown to 72%. This was in combination with their shared reading. They highlighted the importance of shared reading and how that contributed to their student success. And we are currently in our end of year assessment window, so we're looking forward to seeing where that data ends at the end of the school year. Another area that I want to highlight is our current second graders. They began the school year with only 30% of students at grade level. And so a team got together and collaborated to decide what would be best for this student to ensure that they were making growth. And so they engaged in a RISE intervention. And at mid-year, the students had increased to 57% being proficient at grade level. What's more important to emphasize is the level of stamina and engagement that has significantly increased within the classroom. Students are able to attend to instruction, and they are engaging during independent work time. Again, we're really looking forward to the current assessment window to see where that grade ends at the end of the school year. Washington's a very special place with very engaged teachers who diligently plan for their students that they have the opportunity to impact. It's no surprise that I'm able to sit here and celebrate the brilliance with all of you. I can't wait to hear all the great things that they do and their next adventures. So I appreciate you allowing me to be here tonight.
Thank you, Kat. And tonight we're recognizing our departing student board representatives who have been with us for the 23-24 school year. Your wisdom, perspective, and representation of your student bodies has really brought to the forefront of the current issues and those issues that are really important to our student body and to our school district. And I'd like you to join me in front. We have some parting gifts for you. These are certificates, and it says Certificate of Appreciation, and we really do appreciate you. This certificate is awarded to Charlotte Stelflu and to Eva Miller. And you also get a copy of Robert's Rules of Order. Go to your next meeting and lead those meetings, you'll know exactly what to do. Yes. So thank you very much, and smile for Kim. Yes. Sure. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. It's been so much fun being at different events and go, oh, there's Eva, there's Charlotte. So that you are everywhere.
Sure.
And we have 2 incoming student board representatives. And board, if you could join me in welcoming the representatives for the 24-25 school year. From Oshkosh, we have Faith Lohr. You stand? But no, come on up, and I'll read a little bit about Faith. This is from her principal, Mrs. Last. Faith is someone who loves to take on new challenges and be involved at Oshkosh North High School. You recently were the student council president?
Or
Currently. Going to be.
Going to be.
I'm still here, guys.
Squeezed out of
Throughout your years at North, Faith has been involved in the yearbook, Link Crew, and Sources of Strength. She is extremely outgoing and confident and tries to find ways for all students to feel welcome and included. So you'll see where you're sitting over there, that's going to be your spot. And if we could add Marjorie McGraw. Marjorie is from Oshkosh West, welcome. And for her principal, you've been involved in several organizations at Oshkosh West, including the Tri-M Music Honor Society as the secretary, Wave Robotics Marketing co-lead, and that has really been successful this year, hasn't it? Swim team, O'Neill National Honor Society, Youth Leadership Index, and the Musical and Jazz Band. Your proudest accomplishment at West is performing in 5 European countries with Wisconsin Ambassadors of Music. So congratulations, welcome to the board, and talk to your counterparts about all the wonderful things that they did. And the representation of the student voice is very, very important to us. Thank you, we'll see you in September. Well, this is just a night of presentations. And next, we have the AFS and YES certificate presentation by Marianne Offer of the Oshkosh AFS chapter. You want to come up, Brian?
Yep.
Marianne Offer is here from the AFS chapter, which is the host organization for exchange students, to present a certificate to Oshkosh North High School. Mrs. Last, if you could join us, and the Oshkosh Area School District. And I think we're all here to hear about the certificate.
Great. So I wanted to explain about this. This is from the U.S. State Department. The program is called the Medallion Program, and it's an over title of programs that have accumulated over the years. We have the Congress Bundestag Exchange, which started in about 1983. We have the Flex Scholarships, which started with former Soviet bloc countries, students from those countries in the early 90s when the Soviet Union broke up. We have YES scholarships, which are for students from countries with significant Muslim populations. Those came about as a result of 9/11, and the Congress realizing that something needed to be done to build better understanding. I'm very proud to say that Oshkosh has, in its long history, been involved with student exchange for a long time. At that time, Assistant Superintendent Carl Traeger brought AFS to this district in 1950. And the very first student who was here was a German student. If you can picture being the parents of a German student coming to the U.S. in 1950, that's soon after World War II, to have a year of study here. And there are still people in town who remember her, which is pretty touching. So now we have students like Amina, who is here from Tunisia this year. She is, I've been working with this YES program and the Congress Bundestag program since 2005 here in Oshkosh, and she's the 18th of the students from this program who have been hosted here through AFS. In addition, the district has hosted some other YES students and Flex students through other exchange organizations. I just don't have a count, but we should all feel really proud because the State Department considers this grassroots diplomacy. They consider us all acting as ambassadors for the U.S. to the countries that these students come from, as well as them being ambassadors coming to us. I can tell you right now, I know of one of our students who went to Oshkosh North, who is finishing a PhD at McGill and going to work for a U.S. power lab, and he was on the first wave robotics team here. And he still feels very, very strongly that this Oshkosh is part of his high school experience. We have another student who is from the West Bank of Palestine. He is finishing defending his master's thesis at Syracuse University on a Fulbright fellowship right now. These are amazing young people. We're really proud of them, but we're also really proud of our community for making them feel so welcome. We're very, very proud of our schools for taking advantage of this opportunity to share our culture and learn from their culture. So we appreciate this very much. So Amina, would you please have your principal? And share some words?
So, hi, my name is Amina, and foreign exchange student from Tunisia. When I first came here, I really wanted to see what an American high school looks like, because I only saw it in high school musical. So, like, so when I came here, I think the Oshkosh North High School gave me the experience to know what's a real American high school. I felt included. I felt a part of a big thing. I never done cheerleading in my life, and I was part of the Oshkosh North High School dance team. I performed, I went to regionals. It felt like a dream. It was such a prize being an Oshkosh North Spartan. I shared about my culture. Like in my first days there, people would come to me and they'll say, how's your country like? What languages do you speak? That helped me make good friends. I learned a lot of things too. So yeah, I think Oshkosh High School was a great experience for me. I made a lot of friends. I made a lot of teachers' friends. And I'll see them in 1 month, but I will keep all of the memories.
We don't have the garbage in the background. Yes, thank you so much. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was very nice.
Now, I have one more addition to the information about the medallion status of our schools. As I said, Congress Bundestag is part of the scholarships. We have a student, Zosha, would you come up? This is Zosha Bolis-Straczynski, and she's a sophomore at Oshkosh West. And she has been notified that she's the winner of a scholarship, and she will be studying in Germany next year as an ambassador from the U.S. We're particularly proud of her. She's not going with AFS. She's going with a different exchange organization because we don't do this particular region. But she's been an AFS host sister, and her mom, Cordelia, over there, was a Congress Bundestag student to Germany herself when she was in high school. So this is more of Oshkosh being spread around and shared with the world. Thank you all very much.
Thanks for being this to us. Okay, the land acknowledgement, please.
Yes, as we gather today, we'd like to acknowledge that in Oshkosh, we are on the ancestral homelands of the Ho-Chunk Nation and Menominee Indian Tribe of Wisconsin, who have lived along the western shores of Lake Winnebago, Wisconsin's largest freshwater lake entirely within its border. We acknowledge these indigenous sovereign communities who have stewarded this land throughout the generations and pay respect to their elders, past and present, and we welcome the duty and opportunity to share stewardship of these lands.
Thank you. Approval of agenda. Is there anyone that would like to pull any items or move any items around this evening? Okay, seeing none, we will keep it the same and move into board and administrative reports. First is the board president report. I'll start with retirement recognition. We have 3 this evening. Linda Hobley, a supervisory teacher assistant at South Park Middle School, been with the district since 2013. Shelley Hintz, media assistant, Franklin Elementary School, 1998. And Jeff Lankow, building custodian number 4 at Oshkosh West High School since 1995.
Wow.
Do any of the board members have anything to say about our retirees? Dr. Herzog.
Thank you very much. I just want to thank these 3 individuals, Linda, Shelley, and Jeff, for their long careers in the Oshkosh Area School District and the impact that they've had on students, parents, families, and staff. The one I know best from this list is Jeff Lankow, who always greets people with a smile and is always willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that West High School or whatever other schools he's served are clean, safe, and in good condition for students to learn. So I want to wish all 3 of them the very best for a long, healthy, and happy retirement. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And the other item that I have, it is Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week, and I wanted to be sure to recognize all of our staff, all of our teachers who do an amazing job, that we would not be here without all of them, and appreciate so much the time and effort they put into making a child's life better and a more educated life, and it takes a lot. And I speaking for the board, but we all appreciate all of the efforts and extra efforts, and those efforts which are never noticed, but hopefully you feel it inside. Thank you very much. Superintendent's report.
Okay, so last one. So we'll start over there with the Spartans with Eva.
First, I would like to say thank you to everyone that has been with us this entire past almost year. I feel like it has really helped me a lot with coming out of my social shell, and just thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for serving with us.
Thank you.
On Monday, May 6th, Dr. Sumit Ringwala, a 1996 North graduate, was inducted into the Oshkosh North Hall of Fame. Dr. Ringwala attended UW-Madison for medical school and has recently been elected VP of Cardiology, Interventional Radiology, Pulmonology, Sleep Medicine, and Cardiothoracic Surgery at Bellin Medical Group. April 25th, Oshkosh North Student Council held their annual officer elections. The new Student Council Executive Board members include Junior Faith Lore as President, Junior Joshua Hawley as Vice President, Sophomore Evelyn Voss as Secretary, Sophomores Campbell Geis and Allie Lieb as PR representatives. Member at large positions are held by Veronica Fogelson, Sammy Lieb, Logan Luft, and Kaylee Olson. The Oshkosh North Golf teams took home second place among 17 teams at the Manitowoc Invite with a team score of 339 at the Branch River Golf Course. Senior Daniel Chop took home the sixth place individual medal. Thursday, May 9th, our communities program will be holding their annual spaghetti dinner. This year, the proceeds will go to INARA, a nonprofit organization that provides children of war with physical, mental, and family support. This week is Staff Appreciation Week. North has been celebrating their staff by leaving new snacks/beverages in their mailboxes every day. Yesterday, we had Travelin' Tom's coffee truck where they could grab a hot beverage. Thank you for staff for all your hard work. North held their annual Multicultural Spirit Week, April 15th through April 19th. Throughout the week, songs from different cultures were played in the hallway and different dress-up themes were planned each day. At the end of the week, classes were invited down to watch a presentation about students' culture. On May 9th, North students and community members are invited to attend the opening reception for the annual art exhibit at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. to view North students' projects. We hope to see you there. ONHS FFA celebrated students' achievements this school year on April 21st. 4 teams competed at the career development events this spring at Fox Valley Tech, Appleton, and 3 of them advanced to state FFA contests in Madison. On Saturday, April 27th, music students from all of Oshkosh competed at the WSMA State Swan Ensemble. Junior Joshua Hawley won 2 exemplary awards for his vocal events, and Elizabeth Stenzel won an exemplary award for her vocal event. Thank you for checking with Sparty one last time.
Thanks,
Thank
Eva.
you.
Thank you. All right, Charlotte.
Yes.
Over across the river with the Wildcats.
Oh, yeah. All right, here we go. So as far as past events go, we had our Student Council Superhero Princess Breakfast. We began this last year. I believe that it will continue to be an annual event. The kids love it. They get to dress up in their princess dresses or wear a little superhero cape. They have breakfast. They just get to run around and have fun. It's a lovely event. So that went really well. We had prom. You can see our lovely prom court up there. But it was a fantasy theme, so it was super cute. Each individual table was themed after a book. So there was Romeo and Juliet. We had the Hunger Games series. It was just absolutely incredible. The AP tests have begun. Not that any of you need to see the schedule, but there's the schedule for you. I came from an AP test this morning, so hoorah and good luck to all the APers out there. We have our hydroponic plants, and the lettuce specifically is starting to be served within school lunches, so it's super exciting. It's a great way for FFA students and students who are interested in agriculture to learn about plants and get to interact with them within school. We had the spring play Queens, which was a tale from Henry VIII's 6 wives and their tragedies. It was very well done. The upcoming events, we have our senior send-off concert and fundraiser. We're doing a fundraiser for Maui Strong. Mrs. Grind teaches the orchestras at Bell Schools, and her family runs the Oshkosh Youth Symphony. they directly know many people within Maui who need a lot of help. So we're doing a bit of a bake and craft sale. We're selling leis and gift cards. So we're hoping that we can raise some money for Maui. We also have the senior trip and graduation coming up, which is kind of insane. It feels like September was about 8 days ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you. It's been a lovely year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. What was the date on that fundraiser for Maui?
The fundraiser.
14th.
14th?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Davis.
I got you. All right, so over to the superintendent's good news report for tonight. A lot of wonderful things going on across the district. So starting at Reed Elementary, Reed Elementary brought the entire community together to unveil and celebrate a new school mural. Over 500 attendees marveled at the stunning artwork and joined together to support the school community. The festive celebration fostered an incredible sense of pride and togetherness, and it truly was a great event, both in the development and painting of the mural and then the celebration afterwards. So, and the weather cooperated, so that was even better. Carl Traeger Elementary students enjoyed island drumming session with percussionist Mark Powers. This repeat visit was made possible through the SOAR Artist in Residence Grant Program. Students learned hand drum techniques and rhythms from the island of Puerto Rico and Cuba. In addition to exploring how to create a variety of sounds from their drums, students combined those sounds to perform several traditional island rhythms together. The residency concluded with an all-school assembly and has given the students an amazing multicultural musical opportunity. Students at Oshkosh North High School participated in the school's annual Multicultural Day. Each year, students from the English for Speakers of Other Languages program, foreign exchange students, and members of the multicultural clubs at Oshkosh North host an event that shares our cultures and personal experiences with their peers. The event also features a special potluck lunch of cultural foods prepared by students and staff. I had the opportunity to attend that, and it was just a fantastic morning. So thanks for everyone all their hard work to put together. This year, the Oshkosh West Distinguished Alumni Award Committee recognized Sarah Shettle, class of 2003, as the 2024 recipient of the Distinguished Alumni Award. Ms. Shettle is a physician's assistant, a PA, who has served at Mayo Clinic for more than 14 years and specialized in treating mechanical circulatory support device patients. When asked what piece of knowledge she hopes will resonate with students who attended the award ceremony, Sarah said, choose how you spend your time wisely. Ultimately, we all get a limited amount of time in our day, so make sure that you spend your time on things that are meaningful for you. So thank you to Sarah. And on a side note, Sarah was one of my first students in classes when I taught at Oshkosh West, which makes her special and me pretty old. So it's great to be reunited with Sarah. Two of our employees are the 2024 Making a Difference Award recipients recognized by the Wisconsin Council of Administrators of Special Services. Congratulations to Julie Miller, a special education teacher at Washington Elementary School, and Jolene Anderson, administrative assistant for our special education department. Each school year, the organization recognizes staff throughout the state who demonstrate outstanding achievement or personal commitment to supporting students, especially those with disabilities or who experience other challenges. We are grateful for all that they do for our students, families, and schools. So congratulations. Thank you to everyone in the community who joined us for our farewell tours of Merrill and Washington schools. It was incredible to see so many of our community members, past and present, coming back into our schools to share in their history. Special moments included reminiscing about ice skating at Merrill, seeing members of the first fourth grade class at Washington from 1957 reminisce with each other, and retired teachers and staff connecting with former students and families. Public schools are such an important part of our community, and we appreciate the community support and pride in those buildings. Congratulations to Braylee Jadarski, who recently was selected as one of 32 statewide finalists for the very prestigious 2024 WIAA Scholar Athlete Award. Only 4 boys and 4 girls from each of the 4 WIAA divisions were selected based on both athletic and academic achievement. Braylee is only the second Oshkosh West student to ever receive this honor. So congratulations to Braylee for all your hard work. Our Education Foundation's 2024 Gala was a resounding success, raising an incredible $100,000 to support career and technical education programs in our school district. Event highlights included the showcases of remarkable student-made creations from culinary arts, woodworking, manufacturing, fashion design, and more. We're so grateful for everyone who came out, donated, and supported that event, and we'll put that money to good use in our CTE programs. As was mentioned earlier, it's Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week. This week we celebrate all of our unsung heroes who shape the young minds and nurture the leaders of tomorrow, our OASD teachers and staff. Their dedication, passion, and patience for education are truly inspiring. From early mornings to late evenings, they pour their hearts into creating engaging lessons, providing guidance, and ensuring a safe and supportive learning environment for all students. To all of our teachers and staff, thank you. We hope that you are feeling the love and know how much that we value you this week and every week. So congratulations to everyone on their continued hard work and celebration this week. And finally, again, a list of activities that I've been fortunate enough to be out and about throughout the last couple of weeks. So that concludes the superintendent's good news report for tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Menominee Elementary School update, Mr. Fox, Mr. Considine.
Good evening. Things are moving along quite rapidly at Menominee as they're nearing completion. In the last month, we saw Area A exterior brick facade on the south, west, north, and elevations completed. Area B bathroom ceramic tile is completed. Tile is now going in Area C. Area B mechanical, electrical, plumbing is complete. Administration, interior walls, framing, sheetrock installation is complete and being painted right now. Area C window installation is complete, and all interior masonry is complete as many of the trades are moving into that particular area. Some pictures to kind of back up what we just discussed. Upper left, Area A, again, this is grades 2 through 5, and this is from Melvin looking south, so you can kind of see what that elevation looks like with the brick and glass. Area B, top middle, that is, again, along Melvin, entering into the cafeteria from the north, and that will be your bus entry for the students. Upper right is Area B, that is the cafeteria with the eastern exposure towards the lake off of Hazel. You can see all the tall glass, and the masonry is actually rising now up into those glass areas. Area C, lower left, is a picture of the administration area. Of course, second floor where you see that purple is going to be the library. Area D in the middle is your Littles wing, our K1 wing, and that masonry now is toward the parapet wall, toward the roofing line that you see at the top of the building structure. And then last picture, lower right, is again Area D, but with the Grove Street facing side. So you can get a good sense of the masonry that's being installed in this facility. Interiors, upper left, you can see Area A. Another picture of Area A. We're picking up classroom pictures, the pictures of the casework being dropped off. Casework is now being installed in all of the individual classrooms. Moving across the top is Area B, the gymnasium. Gymnasium wood floor actually started being installed. In fact, it's just about complete with the wood installation, as next week they'll start sanding and painting. Far right is Area A again, just showing you some of the clouds as a feature, as part of the ceiling, as well as the pops of color with the paint. Lower left, Area A again, as we look at finishes is some of the tile finishes in one of the private bathrooms. Center, area C on the bottom. This is again an area that is prepped, sheet wall prepped for paint. So we're trying to show you a transition between the finish work in area A and areas that are nearing paint. And then the last section, area D, which is your lower right, that is your kindergarten first grade wing. That was the last section to get built. So it will be, of course, one of the last sections touched. You can see that they've got everything up on the walls, ready for sheetrock. In fact, all the insulation is up, rough ends are now done, and sheetrock will be complete next week and ready for paint. So that area will come along quite quickly. In the next 30 days, we expect casework installation. That's all your cabinetry to be done in Area A, first and second floor. The flooring will also be done. They are following casework installation very closely. Gym floor installation, as I indicated, the wood will actually be done likely tomorrow, and paint and finish to follow. Area C and D, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, rough-ins will be complete, and that's actually scheduled in 2 weeks. They'll be done in Area D. Area D drywall installation, sanding prep, and paint will be complete, and then Area D window installation will be complete as well. So the building is really moving along at an incredible pace. They'll be migrating outside in addition to everything I had just said. Masonry will be wrapping up, and they'll be starting to focus their attention as we roll into latter portions of May into June, into pouring concrete, flat work, everything inside that plaza area as we start to prepare for playground installation in June. So,
Exciting.
any questions on Menominee and the progress? Yeah.
I think a regular question is, are we on budget and are we on
I
time?
didn't include it. Yes, we are on budget. We are on schedule.
Thank you. Thank you
you.
both for all your work.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
And next up, we have summer maintenance projects and capital improvement plan. Mr. Fox.
Yes, thank you. I submitted a written report to the board summarizing the work to be done this summer. Are there any questions with regard to the report as issued to the board? Yes, sir.
My one question is, you had roughly like 1.6 million ballparking.
Correct.
Just, can you give me a sense of how we come up with that? And what I'm really looking for is, part of our struggle with our existing facilities is we've got a lot of deferred maintenance. And so, like, are we doing enough? Do we need to do more? Are we not doing enough? What is your just rough perspective on the projects that we have right now, and how do we come about getting to that? Are we doing enough?
Well, like all staff, I operate within a structured budget.
Mhm.
So, you know, there's flexibility to the extent where, you know, if there's a critical failure, I can work with administration. We can try to move things around and try to figure it out. But ultimately, it's my role as a director of this particular program to take a look at an annual spending rate that is about this $1.3 to $1.6 million. And we have audits that identify roofing needs, audits that identify a whole host of needs, and within those audits we try to determine where the most critical needs are. And those are the needs that kind of populate the greatest amount of spending year to year in the budget. And then internally, as you see, when we start to look at different spaces that we're touching with our OASD staff, it may be some outsourced staff. There are things that we can do to upgrade bathrooms, upgrade fixtures, do different things to try to be a bit more proactive with regard to mechanical equipment.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Fox.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Nehans, budget variance, ESSER fund update.
Yeah, good evening. So the budget variance report that you had included for tonight's materials is running very similar to it has in the past few months. We are still projecting a slight deficit for the end of the year. We've got that this month. It's slightly below $300,000. One of the things we have talked about in the past couple months has been the trend and how we've been trying to intentionally change our trend and how we've been pushing up our spending a little bit earlier, especially the second semester spending, and pushing that up. One of the interesting numbers that came out for me that's going to be new for the board is just for the month of April, we beat trend by $1.4 million. Again, there's going to be more factors into it than just shifting up our spending, but shifting up our spending is going to be a pretty good portion of that. I'm hoping to see a similar dollar amount or figure come out in May that will provide me with some better information to really dig next year's trend and start shifting that trend percentage to more of what we've done the last 2 years. Again, it's a 5-year trend that we work off, and we can change the percentages allocated to each year depending on how much of a weighting we think that should happen or that they should have within the year. The food service fund is still trending as a deficit, but again, the revenues are lagged. So we have been beating our monthly revenue numbers fairly significantly. So I'm anticipating that we could potentially end the year with break even or potentially with a surplus again at the end of the year. Again, right now that fund is sitting with a surplus overall of just about $2 million. So that program's been running really well. And the recreation department is still trending on a surplus, which is really good, especially for this time of year. They've gone without revenue now for several months. So this is usually when that gap starts closing, and that gap hasn't been closing as much as it has in the past. So I would anticipate the recreation department to also end the year with a surplus.
That's great.
Are there any questions?
Mrs. Carlin?
I'm looking at the claims data that the district filed claims for slightly more than 10. Could you, we had talked about in previous meetings about how complex all of this budget stuff is. And so we kind of said that we were going to ask you to explain like one thing a meeting or something. So I was wondering if you could answer the question on, when you look at the public allocation, it's 1.3 million, and the private allocation is 138,000. How does that work? Like, who determines what the private allocation is?
Yeah, for the ESSER money?
Yes.
So all of the ESSER money was allocated based on title, the way the title program gets rolled out. So that's all determined by free and reduced population within your district. Okay. So Oshkosh has a higher than average for the state free and reduced percentage, so we get a larger allocation. And then the private schools each get an allocation determined by what their percentage is off of ours. Now this only happened for the first ESSER allocation. The next ones, their allocations didn't run through the school district. They ran separate and went straight to the state. So we didn't have to manage the ESSER money other than the first one for the private school systems.
Okay.
But it does go off of the free and reduced percentage that they would have with the district.
Cool, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Nehans.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we'd like to add Mrs. Conrad to the table to talk about budget and staffing update.
I'm also going to ask Mr. Miller to come up just for one of the items to be able to provide some context.
Great.
Tonight.
Thank you.
Right. So one of the goals that we have been working on this year is to intentionally align our budgeting and staffing resource allocation to our key performance indicators, as well as align our budgeting to our staffing. And this has been a big lift and one thing that Drew and I have been diligently working on this school year. Aligning our allocations to key performance indicators have really been key, and you'll notice in all of our reports we have very intentionally aligned up our suggestions to the board or our requests to the board to our KPIs. This year we did bring our staffing addition requests to the board in 2 phases. Last month the board did approve staffing requests for ESOL and oh no, I'm going to forget the other one.
Food service.
Thank you, food service. Food service, because we had very clearly defined revenue sources. We have been working on firming up our budget numbers for this year, and we are bringing a second, or the second phase of our staffing request, which had required further budget analysis, and so that's before you today. The staffing additions that we are asking for are 2 post-secondary navigators at the high school level that are aligned to and are key to our meeting the goals of our equity plan that Mr. Miller had presented last month. We are looking for 3 behavioral instructional support teachers, and that is aligned to our reading KPI as well as our SEL, social emotional learning KPI. It aligns more closely to the reading key performance indicator because we are very intentionally placing additional behavioral supports in schools that need it to ensure that our teachers have the supports they need with behaviors in classrooms, as well as our principals have the support they need to be the true instructional leaders to move that key performance indicator. And the last request is we are looking to increase the secondary math coordinator position from 0.5 full-time equivalents to 1.0. We have had that secondary math coordinator in place for many years, but only at a half-time position. Given our key performance indicators on math achievement and some of the other things that you're going to see at the board meeting, we are really looking for leadership to help us and guide us in that particular implementation.
So I'm just going to ask Mr. Miller, I know one of the things that was just brought up was the 2 post-secondary navigator positions. So I just want to be able to provide the board with a little bit more depth in that proposal along with just the communities. So that's something I know that you have some professional experience on, but certainly we're responsible for the development in this proposal. So can you speak a little bit just about what those positions are and value that would bring and kind of that connection?
Yeah, so the post-secondary navigator positions would function as case management roles at both of our high schools to provide support to our targeted populations. The idea would be for it to increase participation in our advanced placement courses, along with career and technical education courses, as well as potentially increase involvement with student involvement in activities, extracurricular activities. It will also allow us to strengthen our partnership with Fox Valley Tech, and currently this position exists in Appleton, and they find it valuable. It's been in the Appleton area school district for about 20 years.
So, and you'll also notice again from a partnership standpoint that there's a shared cost, to these positions, that they would be OASD employees as we would work through that, but do a shared cost agreement. So, Mr. Miller, I just want to thank you for bringing this forward and that partnership. Certainly, we appreciate the partnership with Fox Valley Tech, and anything we can do to be able to continue that connection is important. And I'm excited to be able to again see what the impact is, for the students that are going to be directly affected here, and for us to be able to look at how are we building up our AP programs and giving kids opportunities for post-secondary, which maybe Fox Fox Valley Tech and maybe beyond that, right? So it's not like, every student that's working with the Navigator has to go to Fox Valley Tech. There's no commitment there. It's really just to be able to help navigate, which is the point of the position, be able to navigate through some of the complexities, if you will, on approaching opportunities for post-secondary schools. So thank you for your leadership on that.
Since Appleton's had those position, or that Navigator position for 20 years, do you know what the results have been for them?
So
how many students it's helped? And
yeah, I can't speak on the specifics of the history of it, but when I was in that position, I served roughly 20 students on my caseload, and at Fox Valley Tech, I was responsible for working with seniors coming from Appleton East, Appleton North, and Appleton West, and helping them with navigating either Fox Valley Tech or other post-secondary opportunities. So,
okay, thank you.
And what we'll be able to do, again, from an assessment standpoint, is be able to track the students that are directly involved from working with the Navigator, and be able to track their paths. So how many AP classes and what post-secondary, where they land from a post-secondary standpoint. So that'll be something we can report back on this position.
I appreciate you adding the position. We as a board have said, how do we get more kids into the AP classes? How do we do this? How do we do this? And it seems like you've come up with a viable solution that we can certainly track and determine the outcome. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
If I can just add a quick comment, I think that this is an absolutely wonderful idea because being in AP classes since freshman year, I think there have been, in my 4 years of high school, 3 kids of color in my AP classes. Like, it is so important to have that equity within the advanced placement classes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Other comments? Dr. Herzog.
I really appreciate this report on many levels. Having worked in the central office quite a few years ago, I can understand the hard work that goes into pulling this together, because most of us who have been in the classroom and those board members who go out and visit schools find that people will say to us, well, we could use an extra kindergarten teacher here, we could use an extra this or extra that. We can always use more. But as Mr. Fox pointed out in an earlier report, we have to stay within a budget. And I look upon this as an extension of the great Wisconsin tradition of sifting and winnowing through all of those requests and coming up with the ones that we absolutely need to ensure success for all students. To me, this struck me as a very modest set of requests. Certainly the navigators can help make sure that our students are prepared for higher level education, whether that's through the technical colleges or through other programs beyond that. I just lost my screen here. But I really appreciate the effort that has gone into this, because it's not an easy task, as I recall. Having the ISTs to help with some of those behavioral issues, I think is important. At the same time, I know that we're going to be looking at adding some new curriculum materials that align better with the state standards and the Common Core. That's absolutely essential that we have those materials, especially in literacy and math. Excuse me, it's literacy and math, because that's where our KPIs are. And to build, that has to be the foundation then for professional development that allows teachers to gain the knowledge and the skills to help the students be successful. And beyond that, it's essential that the principals have the training that they need so that they know what they're looking for when they go into a classroom, so that they can give adequate feedback. I remember years ago, as a much younger assistant principal, I was assigned to evaluate in a music class. And I didn't have any background in teaching music, so I called someone whom I respected, who did high school musicals and whatnot, and she gave me the the essential pieces that I needed to look for in order to give appropriate feedback. So we have to have the curriculum materials, instructional materials that address those standards at the state level with the appropriate and adequate professional development, and that includes the principals being able to know what they need to look for and how to encourage people. And all of that is essential to making sure that we're ensuring success for every student, so that we're not limiting what they can do after high school or what courses they can take in high school. Can they get into AP? Can they get into advanced chemistry or math? And so, to me, all of those pieces have to work together so that we can achieve those KPIs. And if any one of those is off, it's going to be a problem, because we have students who have been underperforming, and I see these staff positions as ones that should help our students be more successful. At the same time, I had raised a question with Dr. Davis. These are all non-teaching positions. And I believe tomorrow morning at the F&F Committee, Facilities and Finance Committee, we will be looking into what classroom-type positions or other positions we are looking for. So this is not the complete list, but it's a list of non-classroom positions that are being requested.
Thank you. Mrs. Carlin.
I feel like this is a really dumb question, but how does UWO and some of the partnerships we have with them factor into these positions? Like, will the navigators be working with somebody at UWO also? The university?
So when it comes to exploring post-secondary opportunities, they will also be looking to help students navigate UW Oshkosh, other UW system schools. So they are not limited to Fox Valley Tech. They're not also limited to educational institutions either. So it could be military options as well.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but since it focused on the Fox Valley Technical College, I was like, oh, I'm just going to ask. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much for your report.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Extended contracts for counselors, ag, etc. Mrs. Dr. Colvin, Mrs. Kiffmeyer, Dr. Brown, Mrs. Piran, and Mr. Kemmerer.
So actually, it's going to be Dr. Coleman and I are going to present the report. So this report has annually come to the board for many years, and I participated in this board as Director of Curriculum and Assessment, and coming forward this time with Dr. Coleman to bring this with a little bit different perspective, because once again, as we're aligning staffing and we're aligning budget, we are very intentionally allocating and aligning resources to our key performance indicators. So extended contracts are for staff that need to complete responsibilities or tasks that extend beyond the regular teacher professional time frame. So think of the regular calendar. So in this, there was an exhibit that has a table that shows for each group or staffing area the number of hours and a short description, along with the key performance indicator that their work is directly aligned to. Extended contracts are evaluated and costed each year for board approval. So this is annual. So you will see this again next year. And the extended contract expenditures are accounted for in the budgeting process. So remember that the summer crosses 2 fiscal years. And so for the June timeframe, we had budgeted for extended contracts in the 23-24 budget, and for July and August, that is being budgeted for in the 24-25 budget. And so once again, the descriptions for each are inside of Exhibit A. When you go to the descriptions, we are asking for extended hours and projected hours for high school counselors, curriculum coordinators, as Dr. Herzog indicated. We will have coming up here adoptions, implementations, and professional development that needs to be planned and delivered. Our agriculture teachers, this has been a tradition and also a necessity for as many years as we've had an agriculture program. Media Center support, resource and prep. Keep in mind that our media specialists are in charge of our student Chromebook fleets, and so that is part of our technology plan in Learning Without Limits. Our Alt Ed and online learning coordinator, that continues to go on throughout the summer and is involved in summer school, as well as our SEL coordinators and technical specialists will be working on KPIs and planning that relates to our social, academic, and emotional behavioral KPI. And lastly, special education and transition coordinators. I think you have all have heard of our famous Brewing Futures truck. That is one example of extended contract hours that we are doing in special education and transition that is indicated here, and once again, aligned to our KPIs. So, any questions?
How will we assess success of these, the work that these people will be doing?
Yeah, great question. So for each of these, there is what would you would say a program of work or objectives for each that need to be completed, because this really is about tasks in implementation of projects that are outside their scope of the school year. So for example, high school counselors have student meetings to do, as well as adjusting schedules, doing scheduling conflicts. Those have traditionally been done during the summer. When we're talking about agriculture teachers, it's meeting the needs of the students for their either the Winnebago County Fair, the FFA pieces, managing with students the greenhouses, etc. So every single one of these is going to have basically a task list or a program of work that they are responsible for.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Adoption of Bridges, 3rd edition. Dr. Coleman, Julie Holmes, Aaron Cole.
All right. Good evening. So this is an important conversation that we're bringing to the board, and it is a continuation from conversations that we've had at our education committee meetings regarding Bridges 3rd edition, which is our math curriculum at our elementary school, that we believe is an important adoption for the board to make as we work diligently to achieve our math goals. Before I turn it over to Director Cole, I want to express my gratitude to her and to Julie Holmes and all of the teachers and math ISTs that they've worked with to pilot and study the impact of Bridges 3, and even the work before that went into determining if Bridges 3 and the Bridges curriculum is the right curriculum for our school district. And they've done a tremendous amount of work and put countless hours. Maybe we should have had you all in the extended contract report as well. But thank you for all the effort and time that you and teachers and others have put into this. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Director Cole, and I think you can join us up here, please.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Coleman. Right now, the board-approved curriculum that we are using for elementary math is Bridges 2nd edition, and that was approved by the school board in April of 2016. The Bridges resource is aligned to Wisconsin state standards for mathematics, linked to the research of math recovery and Advantage Math Recovery, and it also has built-in intervention resources. Bridges has 37 years of research supporting its effectiveness with students. It has recently released a 3rd edition that has a number of enhancements, including more explicit identification and implementation of the 8 effective practices and 5 equity-based practices. In addition, the enhancements improve the ease of use for teachers, which we know is critical to full implementation. So during the spring of last school year, 2022-23, elementary teachers began a book study, which I've talked about before the board previously, called Taking Action, Implementing Effective Mathematics Teaching Practices, and it's written by the National Council for Teachers of Mathematics. And the book study is the basis for math professional development for our elementary teachers, our special education teachers, and our teachers of English for speakers of other languages. This book is still in progress with teachers, continuing to deepen their understanding and implementation of those 8 effective mathematics teaching practices and the 5 equity-based practices. The Bridges 3rd edition enhancements further support teacher implementation of these practices in order to increase math achievement for all students. So these practices are specifically called out and identified within the lessons in the Bridges 3 curriculum or materials. So beginning in the second semester of this current school year, we had 23 teachers representing grades K through 5 in 8 different schools, both Title I and non-Title I schools, implementing the Bridges 3rd edition. So we've collected qualitative and quantitative data, which was provided for you in the written report under major points, letters F and G. So the data is there. So we collected the data from those pilot classrooms as well as a control group classroom in each grade level. The data does have limitations as it represents about 2.5 months of instruction with the Bridges 3rd edition. So it is likely not indicative of the full impact, but when you take a look at the data from just 2.5 months, it's pretty compelling in support of the adoption of Bridges 3rd edition. So we are recommending, based on the qualitative and quantitative data, that the board adopt Bridges 3rd edition for the curriculum resource for K-5 mathematics.
I have a question. Thank you for your presentation. One thing I always look at the end is, does it fit into the budget? And it says, no, it doesn't. So how do we make this work?
So in the preliminary budgets that we created, we did plan for a curriculum adoption. It's just that we can't automatically assume that it's in the budget without the board acting on the adoption.
Okay.
So.
Got it. Thank you. Mr. Hess, Dr. Hess.
So looking at this, looking at how you designed the pilot study and everything that you did, I'm super happy, super impressed, and I thank you guys for what you've done. You have brought to us a very easy decision that you gave us the data that demonstrates the efficacy of this programming. You also gave us data that demonstrated that I think 100% of the staff were on board with this. I can't fathom how we couldn't come to an easier decision in terms of curriculum. So for that, thank you all for your hard work. I appreciate it.
I'd like to thank you as well, and I'll be supporting this adoption. I was real appreciative of the information we got in the Education Committee meeting, and this just makes complete sense. So, thank you guys.
Excuse me. Okay, any other questions?
I have one, sorry.
Go ahead.
Was everyday math the curriculum before this one?
We had everyday math before we had Bridges, so up until 2014-15 when we piloted Bridges, we did pilot everyday math 4th edition, and so that was in the running then, but Bridges basically blew it out of the water when we had all of our data collected.
I was just curious, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have no agenda or non-agenda related public forum sign-ups tonight, so we will move on to the consent resolution agenda. For the consent agenda, the board has been furnished with background material on each item or as discussed at a previous meeting. They'll be acted upon with one vote without discussion. If a board member wants to discuss any item, it will be pulled out of the consent agenda and voted on separately. Is there a motion?
I'll move adoption of the consent resolution agenda, Barb.
Second.
Carlin?
Yes.
Yes.
Ray?
Aye.
Wyman?
Aye.
Carlin?
Aye.
DeWitt? Aye. Herzog?
Aye.
Hess?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Thank you. Then we have an individually considered resolution, and this is adoption of Study Sync for grades 6 through 8.
I move adoption of Study Sync for grades 6 through 8.
Second.
Is there a second so we can discuss?
Me, second.
Mrs. Carlin? Discussion?
Yeah, so I have just a few questions or thoughts, maybe comments in regards to this. So I know that I've been pretty quiet, haven't said much. As a newer board member, a lot of this information that is thrown takes some time to really understand and really get a basic understanding of what it is essentially, and then how this can impact the students within our district. And I really, really, really want to be able to support and approve this, because I know that there was a lot of work, time, effort from not only you guys, but also staff as well. However, I'm just kind of nervous because I feel like we haven't really been given a lot of information, a lot of supporting evidence showing that this actually works. I know that there's been a lot of talk about allowing a time frame. I know that I had emailed you this afternoon, Dr. Coleman, asking for, there was some discussion, I think the last meeting, in regards to allowing a 3 to 5 year period. And maybe I'm having a hard time understanding, but if this was piloted for a year, then field tested for a year, and if we approve this for, say, a year, that gives us a 3-year time frame to hopefully be able to see some data and to see some supporting evidence showing that this does work. So with that, looking at, and based off of your email, we're looking at adopting a 6-year curriculum, not knowing that it's going to work. And so with that, I would like to propose an amendment that we approve this for 1 year, so we have enough time to gather the facts, supporting evidence, so this can actually improve our literacy scores. I have a really hard time approving this for a 6-year period, and I'm sorry, I get kind of worked up about this. I have a hard time approving this for 6 years, not knowing whether or not it's going to work, and if we do approve it, we're sitting at another 6 years of no achievement, and at the end of the day, that's going to fall on all of us, and I can't sit back and have this non-achievement or non-rising of scores happen any longer. So I propose that we make an amendment to adopt this for a year.
Is that a motion?
Yes, that is a motion. Sorry. Yes.
I will second.
Okay. Any further discussion on the amendment?
I mean, I too struggle with, it seems to me in this report we're saying that we are going to pay for the entire 6 years within this first year. That we've got a year 1, year 2, and year 3, and year 1 is a $354,000, I think, overall budget for the entirety of the 6 years. So, yeah, we are upfronting 6 years worth of curriculum. That seems to me what we're proposing to do at the moment. And right, I very similarly question with the Bridges 3, there was clear and compelling data, and that was data based off of the iReady results. And that would make me believe if we have the iReady results in math, we should probably also have the iReady results in literacy. And so I look at this and go, I don't see any data. What I see is a statement saying that this is a coherent, guaranteed, and viable curriculum. And there are other curriculums that are potentially coherent, guaranteed, and viable. And our question is this curriculum working, in fact, better than what we are presently doing? That we need to move that bar. So I was kind of thinking of a different approach, but I can see this approach. I want to find a way to say yes to moving forward, because I agree. I appreciate that you all have done a lot of work in this, but we haven't seen data that makes it compelling that this works. I haven't seen data that suggests, like with the Bridges 3, we had 100% teacher support. I think I had suggested last time that I had some teachers call me. I appreciate that as just some teachers. I would like to understand the entirety of the teacher population that would be doing this. So I'm struggling with what it is that we saw in Bridges 3, understanding that sort of data. Here, I don't feel like we have anything close to that. And so I could appreciate the concept of give it another year so that we can have that, so we could support the rest of the time frame. But again, we are proposing to pay for 6 years worth of curriculum up front without, in my opinion, true understanding of, is this going to actually move the bar for us? So that's my struggle. I would support the amendment.
Discussion, Mrs. Carlin? No. Dr. Coleman?
Yep, so I just want to thank you both for those considerations and insights shared, and just also want to reiterate what we currently have approved and adopted as our literacy curriculum. I believe, as a curriculum expert with 3 master's degrees and a PhD in education, that what we have right now does not meet my standard and expectation for a curriculum that guarantees every student has access to instruction that is aligned to state standards. What we have proposed for you and for the board is a curriculum that meets that expectation. And as we've presented in previous meetings, education committee meetings, and have had teachers and principals even come and talk about the impact of this, I certainly believe that there is significant evidence and information that suggests what we have proposed is what we need for our students to be able to have a curriculum, have instructional materials that gives them the access that they deserve to grade level instruction, and the supports then that they also need to achieve grade level instruction. So I certainly respect the request for more data and more information. And what I would ask is the consideration for more information to be provided to the education committee and potentially to the board when we report out on our iReady data and even forward data. If there are specific data points that you would like to see on a specific cadence, we're happy to do that. But again, we certainly understand that there's a sense of urgency that we have to make structural corrections and structural moves within our system to guarantee every student in our system has access to grade level material. So I want to say that to begin with. The other point, as Mrs. DeWitt mentioned, there are implications or benefits to entering into a subscription agreement for a year or 3 years or 6 years. And so a 1-year subscription is $113,655. 3 years is $208,348. And the 6 years is the $353,000. So what we know is there are benefits to longer commitments, and the commitments, the shorter the increments that we make these commitments, the more we actually spend. And then I'll also say that, as I showed in our last meeting, we know that a 3 to 5 year implementation window, and not only just implementation, but support, data collection, and careful analysis of that data is necessary for any particular curricular resource to for us to draw definitive conclusions about the impact of that 3 to 5 years. So while I certainly appreciate requests for more data to make a commitment to a resource that we know our students need, I would assure you that there will be information and data requests fulfilled throughout the implementation of this curriculum, and that's not something that I believe the the board has to wait on or to stall on for us to make sure that we can communicate to our teachers that we're making a commitment and the decision to adopt a curriculum. And if there are challenges with the adoption of that or the implementation of it, that we're not going to stray away from it because we anticipate that there might be challenges. We anticipate that there might be hurdles. As the education committee members heard, and I'll say this with full transparency, there were teachers who acknowledged that there were, in their words, holes that they needed to have filled in the curriculum. And what they meant by holes are there are imperfections in this curriculum like any, and as a team of teachers, they needed time and opportunity to address those imperfections so that it meets our needs. And again, as we look at the lead time that would take, we want to make sure that our teachers know that we're committed to this and we're committed to providing them with the time and support that they need to fill those holes or to address those imperfections.
And the 2 points that I would just like to draw is we did survey our teachers in February in preparation for the Education Committee in March, and we had 24 teachers who took the survey, and over 70% said on a scale of 1 to 10 they were confident if we had time to plan in the focus areas of small group instruction, engagement, and accessing the resources that they felt they were confident that StudySync would increase student learning. Over 70% fell 7 or higher on that Likert scale. So we did survey our teachers on that piece, and that was back in February. They also are super excited for the opportunity to, as I think the word they used was holes. I was calling them focus areas for the work this summer of student engagement, and of the 24 that took the survey, 19 were the most worried about student engagement. So there's a group that's already just ready to start that work, as well as the next area being small group instruction and getting things in place for that and accessing the resources. So we did ask our teachers ahead of time, and we also asked students, and we shared that feedback during the Education Committee as well.
How many teachers responded to this survey?
We had 24 middle school teachers.
I know that with Act 20, which is the recent legislation that required changes in literacy education throughout the state of Wisconsin, there were to be a list of recommended resources that school districts would be limited to as far as meeting the requirements of Act 20, which puts, I believe, a greater focus on the science of reading than has perhaps been previously acknowledged. Is StudySync one of those recommended resources?
Yeah, so just to provide a couple points of clarity, so the Act 20 legislation requires elementary schools to adopt curricular resources or instructional materials that meet the science of reading standard. The list that the Department of Education and its committee that they convened, that list does not limit school districts to choose from that list, but there are recommended resources by which districts can engage in and be reimbursed at a particular amount or a particular rate. So StudySync is a middle school curriculum, and so therefore does not fall under the scope of what Act 20's focus area is, which is early literacy, specifically in the areas of phonics, phonological awareness, phonemic awareness, and so forth.
I've also had the opportunity to talk with 2 principals in the district. 2 middle school principals were very high on this program. I think I only talked with 1 teacher regarding the program, actually observed in a classroom for 2 class periods where she was implementing some of the StudySync strategies. As I said earlier tonight, we have to provide our teachers with curriculum materials that align with the state standards, and then provide adequate knowledge and skill development for them to adequately implement a curriculum area. I appreciate everyone's viewpoints. I've worked in the area of curriculum for a good part of my professional career, and I don't ever know of a school district that has adopted something for 1 year. Trying to place myself in the shoes of teachers who would be asked to implement this curriculum, I think that would create quite a burden on them to be told, well, we might not keep this after a year. We know what we have right now isn't working. I mean, we can look at the results, and we know that the elementary students coming into middle school have gaps in their learning and their instruction. And so I felt we had adequate anecdotal and quantitative data at the reading at the education committee meeting. So I am prepared to support this recommendation of adoption, not the amendment, but the adoption. Thank you.
Mr. Wright, I'm sorry.
Specific to the amendment, there is no one at this table saying that, I haven't heard anyone say that we're not going to use this curriculum next year. So the amendment, I believe, is specifically being made because of cost and wanting to evaluate before. So what is the exact cost between, can you repeat those numbers? 1 year versus 6 years? And it's highly unlikely we're going to use a curriculum for 1 year and then stop because of implementation and personal development and things like that.
Yes, sir. So the cost for 1 year is $113, $655.90.
$113,000?
Correct.
I was going to say, that's a bargain.
Yeah, I'll buy it. It's more than 13.
For 3 years, it is $208,000.
200 what?
208
for 3 years.
$348.07. And then for 6 years, $353,987.44.
Okay.
So a year-to-year commitment would be more expensive.
So if we purchase for a year, right, and then I think the data that I've gotten is sufficient so far, and I was on the fence, but I've talked to a whole bunch of teachers, reached out to a whole bunch of community members. So this logic would be purchase it for a year, and then we'd likely have to purchase it for at least another 3 years, unless if the data fell out. So that essentially would put us still at $321,000 if we had to do that, right? Whereas we could get 6 years at $353,000.
Well, it would be $339,000 if we did it for 3 years, 1 year at a time.
Yes.
Oh.
It would be expensive.
Right.
It would be really expensive to do that. And has there ever been, in standard practice, is it typical for districts to purchase a curriculum for a year and then dump it? Has that ever happened in the state of Wisconsin?
I've never heard of that. Usually what happens is a curriculum is adopted with the expectation that there is a periodic review of that curriculum, and that periodic review could be every 2 years, every 3 years when the standards are updated. But I've never heard of a board adopting or approving the adoption of a curriculum for a 1 year period.
How much do you think the professional development that goes along with this curriculum would cost?
The cost of the $353,000 includes everything that we would need in terms of access and workbooks, things of that sort. I want to give you the exact piece to that of there are days that they come in to do training with us. I just want to give you the exact what that 6-year piece includes.
But the professional development
is part of that, yep.
Okay.
Professional development, technical assistance.
Workbooks, we have access to a study sync rep whenever we need them. This year we had Nicole, which was fantastic. Like, she answered questions on the fly. We also could ask, we could submit when teachers wanted to propose a change to material or add things or things that they could do better for that, and they responded very quickly to that. So the $353,000 is everything, including professional development and the workbooks.
Okay.
Dr. Hess, you had another question?
Yeah,
I want to thank you. I'll get into the rest of that after we get through this.
I have a question too when he's done.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the concept of a field test? Is that that all of the middle school teachers actually implemented this?
Correct.
Correct. So then I'm struggling with the concept of saying no one has ever adopted it for a year. Well, we didn't adopt it for a year, just consider this an extra year of a field test. But that's exactly what we did. We just had all the teachers do this for 1 year. And so I feel like whether you want to call it adoption or an extension of a field test, to just get to the point of understanding, does this actually do something for us? Because I don't believe, I appreciate there's a cost factor to it, and I get that. But if we adopt this for 6 years and a year from now we find out, or 2 years from now we find out that this doesn't move the needle for us, then what are we going to do? We're probably going to ask Dr. Coleman and the rest of the staff to go and evaluate and try to find something new. So yeah, once you come to a determination that something isn't working, you probably are going to change, and now the entirety of that money that we spent isn't going to have been spent well necessarily. And so, I don't look at it as I look at it as trying to find a way to say yes, to make sure. I don't at all say no to it. It's, can we find a way to say, for another year, let's collect the data, and you're right, I would believe that in June, we're going to see the intent is to have a report for the iReady math and the literacy stuff. So at that stage, we should clearly have some data to point to and look and say, hey, is this actually working or not? Is there any evidence at all? Because I didn't see the quantitative data to demonstrate that. The only thing I saw, and maybe it was presented before I came on the board, I think one of the ELPS teachers brought in a cohort of 6th grade to 7th grade to 8th grade or something like that. And it was something to look at, but it wasn't anything for me to say, oh yeah, I see that this works. And to say it takes 3 to 5 years, well, maybe it does, but we just looked at Bridges where we saw an impressive result in 3 months. I get it's a different curriculum, I get it's math, it's not literacy, I get that, but you can see results. You can look into the data and try to understand whether something is working. So in my mind, it's not a question of, is it a cost issue? It's a question of, do we continue to select curriculums that we don't necessarily have a quantitative rationale to say, I know that this works. And I don't say that we always have to know that it works. I appreciate that if this passes, I suspect we will have a good evaluation plan for the next year to start doing that. I get that. But I do feel like if we want to move the bar, if we are truly believing that literacy and math are things that we need to make happen in terms of achievement, we have to start looking at the intermediary results and not just commit to long-term expenditures on things that I don't necessarily have data to truly believe is effective at the moment. So I will support this. But.
Mrs. Carlin.
I appreciate this conversation. I think it's a very important conversation that we have. I had a question as to whether or not StudySync has like a warranty. If our scores start trending down, like, can they? No, you can't back out.
There's not a warranty or money-back guarantee with StudySync, unfortunately. But what I will say, the difference between a field study and an adoption is important to consider, because in a field study, it is essentially optional, if that is what is going to be used. Whereas when the board is adopting a curriculum, this is our way of guaranteeing what is being used in the classroom meets a particular standard, whereas when materials are tested or it's optional, it allows for a degree of autonomy that would allow, should an individual wish to opt out and not use that material for whatever reason. And so what we want to be able to do is provide a degree of consistency across our district and across all of our schools, where all of our students are getting access to the same standards aligned instruction using material, knowing that certainly there may be opportunities for that material to be supplemented by the teacher or brought alive in the ways that they, some of you all may have seen this when you visited classes, that there are different spins or ways that teachers might bring the curriculum alive to make it relevant, but in its core essence, it is consistently used across the system. So the difference between the field study or field test and an adoption would be the fidelity or the consistency to which the materials are used across the system.
That is a perfect lead into my second question, which is adoption. You can give me a Cadillac, but if I don't know how to drive, it doesn't matter, right? So we could have the best curriculum, but if we're not implementing it properly, it doesn't matter. So do you think that there might have been some implementation adoption issues?
Sure, and Director Kiffmeyer, who's our Director of Secondary Education, who also doubled as our literacy coordinator, can speak to, there were structural reasons, and I will own the fact that there were imperfections in our field test because we did not have a secondary literacy coordinator to support with the leadership and professional development of this field test. So, and we went the entire year without, essentially we went the entire school year without that level of committed expertise. And so that is a reason why I believe there were flaws in our field test. But again, certainly I don't want to take away from the hard work and the intentional work that our teachers, our literacy ISTs, and Director Kiffmeyer put into making sure that we were able to use the time and the resources and the support that we had to determine if this material certainly is aligned to standards and provide students with access to grade level instruction.
So essentially the first month of school, the plan was not even to start until the end of September. And so rollout happened in the end of September, but where the teachers, where I understood where the teachers were at in terms of implementation was not accurate. And so we got a really good handle on it by the end of October to make sure that we had some universal expectations. We provided the parameters of the fence for teachers to have some flexibility within their teaching and their art of teaching, but also there were some standards of expectations. And there was a huge difference in terms of I would say understanding of how to use it, and then we really tapped into our Study Sync reps and used our whole year in Literacy 6-8 for professional development on that. Okay. And so speaking of the professional development, it includes 2 full days of training as well as an admin overview by a Study Sync representative. So our admin, and that's really important point, is that our admin will know, our principals will know what to be looking for in the classrooms to help support instructionally, and that didn't happen this year. There will also be overview sessions for teachers that they can tap in virtually and log on to a Study Sync rep's calendar, as well as they call them ask an expert sessions, and then summer learning with Study Sync as well. So it's a pretty comprehensive PD option that's built into that.
One more question and then I'm done, I promise. I have a concern that Dr. Herzog kind of talked about regarding if we only approve it for 1 year. Would that send a message to teachers, maybe like, oh, the board only approved it for 1 year, I'm not going to bother because we're going to have a new one? But would that be bad for morale, do you think?
I think it's going to be harder to build efficacy with that, knowing they're still wondering, is it going to continue or not? And, you know, teachers love their art, right? And so they will sometimes fall back on what they know if they don't know something that's staying. So,
yeah, thank you.
Can I just make a quick statement here? By no means am I, proposing this because of money or anything like that. What I have a hard time with, we had just said if we adopt this for a year and then we have to move to something different. I'm under the assumption that this curriculum is it. So if we adopt it for a year, I guess the only reason why we would not continue it is because it doesn't work. So I guess I'm a little bit struggling with why, like, it would only make sense to me if this is the curriculum that is going to increase student literacy, why would we be opposed to trying it so we can have supporting evidence to see that it actually works? To me, that makes sense in my brain, and maybe my brain doesn't think right, but, I mean, something works, we're going to continue it, but why not prove that it actually works before jumping into 6 years? And then we're in the same boat that we have been in, or even worse.
Yep, and I can appreciate the interest that the board has in making sure that what the board adopts works. It's important to me to offer and invite input from those who are interested in feedback on our evaluation process and our evaluation protocol of what is adopted. I would caution humbly that the board not set the precedent of adopting curricular resources and instructional materials with timelines, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. It's just not a practice that I've ever heard of. Again, what I would appreciate is the adoption with an expectation of a comprehensive evaluation and report of the effectiveness, and again, and a periodic review of the curriculum. And again, that usually is, it could be 2 years, it could be every 3 years, it could be every year. But what we should be bringing back to the board is a report of our evaluation, and not adopting a particular material for a defined amount of time. It's a precedent that I, again, would humbly caution we not walk ourselves into.
Any other comments on the amendment? Dr. Herzog.
My experience in working with groups of teachers over the years and making recommendations for adoptions to boards has been that once there's an adoption, no matter how long that material is in the classroom, probably the most difficult, most challenging year, most time-consuming year is year one. Right. Because everything is new, and they need to create new lesson plans, they need to learn how to pace, they need to know new vocabulary. I just think a one-year adoption would place an undue burden on our teachers than to be told maybe a year later, oh, we're going to adopt something else, and then they have to go through that whole time-consuming and energy-sapping process all over again. I recognize that with curriculum adoptions, there's often what is called an implementation dip in the first year because everything is new and they have to adjust, as I said, to vocabulary, to new strategies, to new content.
Materials.
So there could be a dip after year one, which doesn't necessarily mean that the material is not appropriate. But then we would expect, given the time commitment that teachers have put into lessons, that year 2, year 3, we should see some increases. If we don't, then yeah, then maybe there's an issue with that. But when you say that 70% of 24 teachers who represent all of the teachers who were part of using this find it appropriate and are advocating for it, I think we also have to take that data into account. Thank you.
Final comment from me. I'm normally not Susie Sunshine, but I feel good about this. Our teachers deserve some consistency in their planning process. I trust Dr. Coleman is making a good decision for the district, along with everyone else that has had input into this. We have to do something. I am not interested in waiting 1 minute longer because we can't continue to come back to Dr. Davis and the entire administrative staff and say, KPI, 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 scores, 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 and then hold back and not do anything. So I think this is the moment that we adopt something that's going in long term, and we better be really, really good at it.
Well said.
Because our students deserve it, and our teachers and staff deserve it as well.
Well said.
Please call the roll on the amendment.
Wyman.
Please read the amendment so we're voting the right way.
The amendment I have is a motion to amend it to a 1-year time frame rather than the current time frame.
Thank you. No.
Carlin.
No.
DeWitt.
Aye. Yes.
Herzog.
No.
Hess.
Yes.
Salaji.
No.
Wright.
No.
Motion fails.
Okay, so then we have the original motion to accept Study Sync.
And I want to tell you why I'm going to vote for this. Sitting up here, my kids are actually going to use this curriculum. My kids are in OESD, and my kids, OESD, and my kids and all their friends are going to actually use this curriculum. So I spent the last couple weeks asking around, talking to everyone I know that is really knowledgeable on this subject. And some of the harshest critics, or most critical people in this district of how we've went about literacy in the past, are supportive of this adoption. And principals that have been a part of the highest performing schools and that have hit it out of the park with this field study or test study, from what I've heard, believe that this is gonna work. I mean, we actually have an evidence-based curriculum finally in front of us that has been proven and has worked in other areas and in other places. We finally have that, right? And I believe that this is going to work well for kids that are at grade level. And you've told me and assured me that we're gonna layer things in for kids that are below grade level to meet other needs, right? Like ESOL students, etc. I'm going to vote for this because I feel like I've been given enough information to vote in favor of this, where I feel comfortable with my decision, and I feel comfortable that this curriculum will help my kids learn, and all kids that'll be using it their age learn. I have confidence in you, you've come from high-performing districts, so I'm a yes on this, and I'm passionate about this because this actually affects my own kids and every kid in my, all their friends and every kid in OASD. So.
Mrs. Salaji.
I just want to echo some of the sentiments that have been shared as to why I'm voting for this. I also have a middle schooler and 4 more upcoming middle schoolers, and I support this. And I was a middle
school.
Wow, not all at once. You only ever be to it once. And I was a middle school literacy teacher, and so I know how important it is for the teachers that we show that we support them, that we show that we trust their leaders, that we vote yes for these students. Mr. Wright pointed out to the people in the district who have, for years, for even before I was on the school board, advocated for literacy changes, and I've done that for one of my own kids who is in middle school. There have needed to be literacy changes, and I am so grateful that I finally get to vote on some, and I have voted on a couple. There have been some along the way that have been right, and I feel like we've made enough decisions in literacy that have been right, and we need to keep going, and so I support this.
Mrs. Carlin.
I loved when you said we can't wait a minute more. That's exactly how I feel. We have got to get this going. And Dr. Coleman, how many masters did you say that you have?
3.
And a PhD?
And a PhD from UW-Madison.
I do not have any of that education when it comes to curriculum. And so, again, I feel like it's important to remember what our role is. And if the school board wants to become experts on curriculum and dive into the data, then we should make a policy that says, because we can do, policy is our power, so we can make a policy that says we would like to be more involved in curriculum, and I am not going to do that. I'm policy chair. I don't want to be involved in that. That is your job. So as important as this conversation is, I do think we need to remember what our role is here in the board. We are not experts in curriculum. We do not know what it takes to roll out a curriculum. We do not know how long it takes to get results for curriculum, and you guys do. So I will be supporting this curriculum, and I thank you very much for all your hard work on this.
Thank you.
Dr. Hess.
So I got one more question. I would ask Dr. Coleman, can you tell me if there is quantitative data from our district, from this field test, that demonstrates that we know this is going to work? Do you know that?
Yes.
Okay. I haven't seen it, but I look at this executive summary report that says we are trying to increase reading achievement. We are trying to use data to inform instructional resources and practices. And I'm not going to throw around degrees in curriculum and instruction, but I do know how to evaluate data, and I don't see it. So I know where this is going. I wish you guys the best of luck. I do hope that this is effective. But I think, I remember hearing a while back somebody suggesting that we've had assurances for over 9 years and we're still waiting to see the result. So I hope this is the result. This is the curriculum that makes it happen. I'm not confident in it. So for that reason, I'm going to vote no.
Call the roll.
Carlin.
Aye.
DeWitt.
No.
Herzog.
Aye.
Hess.
No.
Salaji.
Aye.
Ray.
Aye.
Wyman.
Aye.
Resolution carries.
And I hope it works too.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
very much.
Thank you very much. Good conversation.
Great conversation. We are at that point of the meeting where we request future agenda items. Any requests?
Not for me.
Oh, I think I've requested this before, but equity training, is that still on our calendar for somewhere in the future? For this board, for the board,
Yeah,
correct.
trainings for the board.
We'll make a note of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any announcements?
I have one.
Yes.
I just want to announce that last night was my last night of Wednesday class, and also, so I will no longer be coming late on Wednesdays, and also just say thank you for your patience while I balance 2 commitments at the same time for the past 3 months, 4 months, yeah.
Glad to have you back.
Yeah,
And thank you for your
absolutely.
efforts to make it to the
Yeah.
meetings.
Thank you.
Thanks,
And
Liz.
congratulations on your upcoming graduation.
Yay!
Congratulations.
Thanks.
One announcement, there are some marvelous things happening with music and art and sports this time of year, so if you have the opportunity to be part of it, please do so. Okay, we would now like to adjourn to executive session where we'd be considering the employment, promotion, compensation, performance evaluation data of any public employee over which governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibilities. And this is a private conference regarding an employee matter.
So moved. Second.
Wright and Carlin.
Yep.
Right?
Aye.
I'm just asking, are you guys ready for me to do the roll?
Yes. Yeah, I didn't know if you were.
Aye. Herzog.
Aye.
Hess.
Aye.
Salaji.
Aye.
Aye.
Wyman.
Aye.
Carlin.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned to executive session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Little bathroom.